Welcome or welcome back to WatchAdvisor on YouTube. It's Alexander speaking, your host, and today I'm standing in front of a madhouse. Yes, this is a madhouse, and it is the new headquarters of MB&F, Max Büsser and friends. They rent the house since a year and they have established their headquarters here. And today we are going to meet Max Büsser himself. It will be very cool to talk to him after a long time. Last time I saw him was in Basel a couple of years ago. And I thought, since he now has his own headquarters where everybody finally gathered together and they now have a new creative center, if you want to call it, it is good to talk to him again. I dare to say he is the master of creativity. Max Büsser stands for creativity, and this is what you are going to discover in this video. And I'm standing once again in front of a madhouse, and this is not a joke, they really call it madhouse.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Max, congratulations to the new home of MB&F, Madhouse. We are in a madhouse, that's always good. I like to be in mad areas. It's 1 year, I think you are here now.
Yep.
You happy?
I am. The best surprises are real surprises, meaning when you're expecting something good and you get it, it's okay. But when you're not expecting it, it's so much better.
Cool.
For the better part of 17 years, our offices, workshops, whatever you want to call them, were horrible. I wouldn't even invite you.
I was there once, but they were not so bad.
So they were like offices,
okay.
Nothing I could be proud of. I never spent any money in workshops or offices. In the tooling, yes, but not in where we were, because everything always goes in the product. You don't come out with 20 calibers in 17 years by spending outside the calibers. 2 years ago, 2021, we started hunting for a space. All I saw was these big plateaus where, yeah, it's very pragmatic, very practical, and I wanted to shoot myself. I was looking at this, this is so horrible with the neons. And it was like, no, I don't want to be here. And one after the other. And one day I'm visiting one just next door. The guy from the real estate takes me out from the back to show me that there are two entrances. And he says, so what do you think? And I'm so depressed. I look at him, I say, you know what? I want that old house there. And the guy, instead of just going, yeah, whatever, why are you making me show you this? Goes, really? And I'm like, yeah. He says, maybe something's possible. And actually the owner of that building is the owner of this old house. Like karma, it's incredible.
Beautiful story.
Yeah, it's the story of my life. Meeting people and boom, something happens. We visited it, we were like, no way, we're never going into that. It was in a pretty derelict situation, and I think for 60 years there hadn't been any work done. And we said no. And then I continued looking for other locations, and I saw more plateaus. And at some point, Serge, my technical director, who's also my partner in the company, who's been with me for 15 years, said, look, let's go and see that old house again. I'm like, really? Especially for him in production, that's much more complicated. And he said, yeah, look, I can see you're depressed. Let's go and see that old house. And we looked at it and we saw what could happen. You know, when you see people and you just take them at face value is one thing. And when you see people and you see the potential in them is a very different thing. It's the same thing we did. And we thought, okay, we could do this. It took a year and a half to do all the work in it. And now we've been here for a year. And how it changed our lives? First of all, we were in all sorts of different flats everywhere and offices. We brought everybody together, except for the machining, of course. We cannot put 5-ton CNCs here, so that's separate, about 10 minutes away. Everybody working together, but more importantly, the energy which has been created is insane. And I realized that, without being snob, I think that this house is more beautiful than all of our flats where we live in. So you come to a place which is more beautiful than where you live. And where there's a good vibe and everybody enjoys working together, it's changed our lives.
This brings me to the next point I wanted to talk about. It's creativity. You are, and guys, believe me if I do say this, Max will not agree, he's the master of creativity. He's a decent person and he's always saying, no, but it's true. Max, you remember we were sitting at Geneva Watch Days. There was a panel, was Jean-Claude Biver on it, Josh Kern was on it, you were on it. And end of the session, I asked the last question, what is the biggest threat for the watch industry actually, since everybody agreed it's not the smartwatch anymore? And then I said, what's the biggest threat? And you said something that really impressed me. You said it's a lack of creativity and that lots of people work in the industry who shouldn't be there because they just do a job and they are not passionate.
I didn't say they shouldn't be there, but the issue is a large amount of people working in our industry don't actually like watches.
Yeah.
And that's a disaster for me. I'm sure they do a good job, but we create something which is totally pointless. Now, we have to take that step back and realize that a mechanical watch is totally pointless.
Yes.
Therefore, the only reason we have it is because it's a work of art. Do you have artists who are disenfranchised from art? No. You need artists who put their guts in it, who move mountains, who take risks, who know about the history of art. I love it when brands come out with pieces like, look, this is absolute world novelty. And you're like, dude, we've been doing this for 200 years. You cannot teach somebody to fall in love. And we need more people who are in love with what we do.
Max, the entire MB&F adventure started as you said, Max Büsser and friends. First of all, a nice thing, you were always transparent. One could always read whom you're working with and you were never cheating, hiding something, always straightforward. But this is the base for a big family who was extremely creative, productive and successful. You wouldn't be here in such a house. You wouldn't be who you are. We wouldn't see lots of prizes you won through your career. So what's next in your vision for a brand, Max Büsser and friends? What's next?
Well, so there's a lot of things here. First of all, success is not measured in money. So if you look at it only as economical, I can only say that the brand has been successful in the last 2 years. Because for the first 16, every year we were like, getting to the end of the year, how are we going to finance all these incredible calibers? It's been an uphill battle for 15 years. And that's very important because a lot of people would like to create their own brand. They come to me and like, oh, I want to do like you. And I'm like, okay, are you ready to go through what we went through? And there is a big proportion of chance that you will not succeed. So what is your definition of success? For us, it's been creating these extraordinary products, keeping our values where they should be. My mother was Zoroastrian, which is something very special, and I was brought up by good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That's what we englobe from the first day at MB&F, and that's why we have such a great team. Success is measured by the people in our team, the people who work with us. I am so proud. Now we're opening these new mono-brand labs called MB&F Labs. So we've got a Mad Gallery with the Siddiqui family in Dubai, an MB&F lab with Michael Tay in the Hourglass in Singapore. We're just opening one in Beverly Hills with the Simonians. We have one in Paris with Laurent Picciotto. Those 4 were the first 4 which took on the brand 18 years ago. So that means something, that the people who've accompanied you for 18 years are like, okay, let's continue, let's grow. So I thought my story, my brand was about creating products. Over 15 years, I was just pushing, create that next great product. Yeah, that's what people will remember when I'm not there anymore. But what do I remember? I remember the journey. I remember the people. I remember all those incredible stories. And you realize, and that's getting older de facto, when you're 30 years old, you don't think that way. And you realize, wow, it's all those stories, all those meetings which actually make it worthwhile. Which brings me to the next step. Where is MB&F going? So, I have too many ideas. So today,
you are in a madhouse, so be mad.
Because so I've been surrounded with more and more incredible people. The team has grown with more and more talent and people bringing their own ideas also. And so now we're, I think, in calibers, I think we've got 8 or 9 in the pipeline, which is bringing us to like 2031 or something like that. That's for MB&F. Then there's the Mad Editions, where we were crazy enough to try that in 2021. Doing a few hundred pieces to say thank you to our customers and suppliers, which has now boomed and become like these lotteries. Last lottery, 30,000 people signed up for their 1,500 pieces. So that's allowed me to start thinking, well, we can do Mad 2 and Mad 3 and Mad 4. And that's all in the pipeline. At some point, I got really frustrated because any idea I have, I go and see our team of R&D and they're like, great idea, or not, but 2032. And you're like, dude, how old am I going to be? I will be 65 years old. I don't know, wait, I'm 56. I don't want to wait till I'm 65 to have that idea come to life. And I started creating in other worlds. So you're going to see And that's much more complicated. Like, I designed this incredible espresso machine, and I'm desperately trying to find an espresso maker. All these guys do professional machines.
Yeah.
So when I come with something which I want in my kitchen, which is not this big and doesn't have 12 nozzles, they're like, what are we going to do? Anyway, so I'm creating more and more. But the most important thing for me, and I've started talking about it in the last months, is how do I ensure that MB&F survives me? Some people will say you're young, 56. Some people think I'm really old when they're 20. At the end of the day, I've lost my parents. I've started losing friends. Suddenly, start realizing I have a responsibility. The first 10 years, it was survival mode. You don't think about what happens if you're not there because you're just trying to...
Sleepless nights, discussions, how can we finance, how can we...
Exactly.
I know your story, we've been discussing this, how desperate you were sometimes. You thought it's over because...
There were many times we thought it was over. And so you all the time, and even when it's a little bit... You're a bit like that gazelle in the savannah, wondering... you're eating now, you're wondering where that leopard or that cheetah is going to arrive. You're all the time on edge. And my team still tells me that. You're like, cool down, everything is okay. I'm like, I have been a gazelle for 15 years wondering when that lion or that cheetah was going to come. And so the first 10 years were that. Next 5 years were tough, but okay. And then COVID arrived. And the 17th of March 2020, I had to send my whole team back. It was pandemic, lockdown. That day, I'll always remember thinking, it's game over. Who's going to buy a watch? The whole world has been sent home. Today, it's funny how we've forgotten 3.5 years later. Like, yeah, okay. No. We thought we were all going to die. It's finished. In Italy, the hospitals were overflowing. In New York, they were taking ice cream trucks to put bodies in. I was like, oh my God, nobody's going to buy a watch. It's finished. And it didn't happen.
The contrary.
On the contrary.
Yeah, people saved money and all of a sudden they wanted to spend money. And
that was one of the reasons. There was also a lot of people discovered the independence.
Yeah, they had time to read, time to watch our videos.
And then there was, unfortunately, the speculators. They have one silver lining to that, but that also boomed the whole... But the only silver lining for us independents is that 100 times more people discovered what we did because they were trying to find the next speculative asset. Now, they've all gone, but they have discovered us. So all of this happened, and then that sort of told me, okay, it's time to think what happens now if something happens. So that's been the last 2 years project, making sure that the brand will not only survive but thrive if something happens to me. We've got a completely debt-free company. We never lost any money. We never made any money up till recently, but everything we made, we put into the product. No debt, no financial shareholders who want growth or profit, so we can decide whatever we want. That's very important for your destiny. We've got the next 10 years of products in the pipeline. We've got an incredible team. And there are all sorts of other things that I'm putting in place that if something happens to me. It's also, I am so grateful for the life I have had and the life I have today. I don't want to be forced at 80 years old to come to the madhouse with my Zimmer frame, like, hi guys, with somebody helping me to all go up the stairs. And, Max, do you have a new idea? Because otherwise the brand doesn't continue. Oh my gosh, that image is like...
Won't happen.
So I have to make sure not only if something happens to me, but also that I have the luxury as a human being to take a step back if I want to. I don't want to at all, but if I want to.
Max, this is fantastic. Talking to you, I could continue doing it all day long. I would wish I could clone you.
God, I would like to clone myself.
Yeah.
My life would be easier.
Not in terms that you as Max Büsser and friends, MB&F, would need more creativity, because you are master of creativity, but I would clone you and sell you or rent you, lease you to some of the brands out there, telling them, hey, listen to that clone. He will tell you how to do it. And all of a sudden, I think some brands could be just more successful, more desirable. and more attractive than they are today because, yeah, as you said, people working there with no clue.
It's difficult for a very big brand to take a lot of risks.
You think so?
I think it's more difficult, you have to put it this way, because you have a thing called return on investment. You've got a CFO and you've got a CMO, and 2 engineers are working for 5 years to create a movement. It's not to sell 50 or 100 of them. If they're going to take all that energy, you need to make 5,000 or 10,000, and therefore you need to please more people. You have to tone down your polarization. It's normal. They could all have their opuses. They could try and have a little laboratory and do crazy stuff. Some of them do. And at the end of the day, honestly, it's a godsend for us, because if all the big brands were super creative, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you.
True.
MB&F wouldn't exist.
True, yes.
Because if everybody's super creative, then how would small creators exist? We wouldn't exist. So it's an equilibrium. It's a balance.
I said once to my daughter, she said to me when she was young, "Papi, what is the thing you are most afraid of when you get older?" And I said, "I am afraid of losing my childhood. I always want to stay a child, and I always want to be crazy in mind, and I never want to get an adult." And today she's 26, she's turning then 27, and she said, "Papi, this is fantastic. I love it what you said once." And I think we are kind of let's stay young and crazy, and who cares? 60, 56, who
child
cares?
who survived.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's hard to say goodbye sometimes, you know, it's really hard to say goodbye sometimes. We did it. We passed the entire morning until 2 o'clock now at the headquarters, the madhouse of Max Büsser, and it was so cool to be here. Thanks for watching the video. Use the comment section. This is very important. Use the comment section. Tell us, write us what you think about Max Büsser and friends, about his incredible creativity and what he has been doing since the brand was founded some years ago. Looking forward reading your comments, looking forward answering your comments if necessary. Stay tuned on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. We bring you the best stuff from the watch industry, and today it was from Geneva. Bye-bye.